Rudy the Rooster, Teaser the Mouse, Nasty Old Thing, Snarfy our Dog, and of course, Hattie the Witch. These are just a few of the hundreds of puppet characters created over the past 60 years by puppeteer and Cincinnati, Ohio television legend Larry Smith. Born June 23, 1938 in Dayton, Ohio, Larry was the youngest of two sons. His parents, homemaker Janice Louise Basler Smith and Harry Bryce Smith, who worked in the photographic lab at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, encouraged their son's interest in puppetry, which he developed at the tender age of 4, having come across a drawing of a marionette in a coloring book. Turning professional at the ripe old age of 14, Larry began his television career, introducing his puppet characters Teaser the Mouse, Miss Abigail Chicken, Rudy the Rooster, and eventually Hattie the Witch to his hometown on the Tick-Tock Toy Shop show broadcast over WHIO television.
My first interest in puppetry, I had seen a picture in a coloring book, and it was a fella that had 2 crossbars on either hand with strings attached to it. And I asked my mother what that was. There were 2 of his friends watching it, and they had kind of like a cutout box for a stage, and she said, "Those are puppets," or she said they were marionettes. I'm not sure which one she used, but she had seen a show at the Ohio State Fair in Columbus, Ohio. And that particular person that was doing that show, I learned later, years later, through the Puppeteers of America, that it was Marjorie Batchelder, and of course then became McFarlane. And she was a professor at Ohio State, and she was doing the Ohio State Fair at that time with her puppets. So that was kind of a start, and then I saw some puppets. There was somebody in the neighborhood that had a marionette, and those were great. But I couldn't find them anywhere. After the Second World War, things started to move again, and toys came in before we couldn't have as many. And I was downtown at Reich's department store, and I saw these Hazel marionettes, and I had to have this marionette for Christmas. I took the first bus back home to Dayton View and said, "Mother, Mother, I found them, I found them." And that was kind of the start of it. I'm trying to think of some other times with puppetry that, of course, I used them with my Cub Scouts. When I started making my own puppets, they were so expensive that I found out through making paper mache at a Bible school class one summer, about in the 4th grade then, that I could make my own puppets, and it was a lot cheaper, and so I could make more puppets. And my dad had a stage made for me one Christmas. So I had the stage and the marionettes to go out and entertain. And I didn't have a wagon to pull this stage on, so a friend of mine had a wagon, and so with that he helped me move the stage around to the various bus stops, and we'd get pennies and stuff from the people who would get off and see a show. So that's how I got started, and with the Cub Scouts, that was the next adventure, that I had a little stage that I performed there.
And
so
what year was this?
Oh golly. In the 40s, 45, 46, 47, somewhere in there.
And the puppet theater, did your father build that, or did he have someone build it?
It was built.
Okay.
It was built. He knew a carpenter that built it for Christmas one time.
Okay. And this was a marionette stage?
Yes, yes. Also, they had a window at Reich's department store one Christmas, and I forget what the company was, but it was from up east, and they had a double window, and they would have about 15-minute shows in the window on the daytimes during the week, and on Sundays they would lock them into position, and I could go down and see these things and look up and see the controls. And I remember it started off with a lamp lighter that would come out and light the lamps, and then the king and the queen would come on, and they would go up and look through a window and view the whole parade. They had a juggler, and the man had a bear that would come by, and I think they had one time a little Punch and Judy puppet show. So it was really good. The NCR, National Cash Register Company, originally was in Dayton, Ohio. And Dean Kettering was, I guess, the head of that. And he said in his will that so much money should go to the children of Dayton, Ohio. So the way they did this, allocated it, they had a nice big auditorium in those days, which unfortunately has been torn down now. That actually a lot of the schools, I graduated from there, the big auditorium. But they would have on Saturday mornings a radio show out there on WHIO radio. And they would have contests. I remember getting on and winning a silver dollar. That was a big thing in those days. But we'd take the bus and go out there, and they'd have the radio show. Then you'd see a movie. And then on the way out, you got a free candy bar. So that was the Saturday mornings in Dayton. Then when television came along, WHIO, of course, was one of the first stations on up there. They had the radio channel, and they also had television, WHIO TV. They started doing a television show from that auditorium. Well, this did it. I thought, oh boy, I got to get this act together. So I auditioned. I was on twice, on my own, and then also with, I was a newsboy for the Dayton Daily News, and I came back again for that, and won 2 bicycles, anyway, hubby bicycles. But I never got to the final one. That somebody who played the drums always beat me out on those things. But anyway, that's how that WHIO saw the things I was doing with puppets, and they were starting a children's show, and asked if I could join them. Well, that was fine. I couldn't drive yet. I wasn't old enough, so I'd have to take the bus all the way out to the station. We were on in the mornings first, then the time changed, and they went to the afternoon. And I went to the principal of the high school, Colonel White Fairview. There were 2 separate schools in those days. And he said, no, we can't do this. We can't arrange it. Well, the man who was doing the show, Bob Campbell, who started the kids' show, was interested also in educational television, which was starting there. And he knew all the right people. And he got through, and they got through to the principal. And I remember sitting in a geometry class, algebra geometry, and he suddenly appeared and he said, Larry, I need to talk to you. And down in the hall he said, here's your new schedule, you can do this. So that's how I got out to the station, whether it was in the mornings or in the afternoons. And that was a time that Howdy Doody was on, and also the Mickey Mouse Club came on at that time too. So we only had 2 stations, and the other station was carrying those shows. So that was against us, and that's how we, although our ratings still went above it. The other person that came into that show was Joe Rockhold. He played a character called Uncle Orry. And there was Nosy the Clown, which was Jack Jacobson. And we would ad-lib all of these things. And it was through Joe Rockhold, who had done radio in Chicago. He was from Hillsboro, Ohio originally, but he knew how to create the scenes, and he would write the opening of the shows and the closings, what the announcer would do, which would get us up to date where we were on our storyline. And he said Larry had all these puppets, and he just didn't know what to do with them, which was true. And he taught me characterization. He said, Rudy's a rooster, and Hattie the Witch came back in those days from a time machine. That's how she arrived. So Teaser the Mouse was a marionette in the early days. That was the start of it. And then I found that it was easier to work the hand puppets for the different scenes instead of having all of the scaffolding and such that it took to do the marionettes. So that's where the characters arrived from. They had a little character called Tiptoe the Birthday Elf, and he would light the candles on the cake for the kids.
In July of 1981, reminiscing on his career, Joe Rockhold had this to say about working with Larry on the Tick-Tock Toy Shop show.
We finally got on in the afternoon, and this young boy came. He was a freshman in high school, and he had one puppet called Teaser the Mouse, and he wanted to be on TV. So we said, all right, we'll be on TV. And went to the program director and said, well, we're paying $5 a week. So this kid started as a freshman with this one little puppet, this little mouse. And he had a little high squeaky voice, and he was pretty good for a kid. But he wanted more characters. So then we had Rudy the Rooster. So Rudy the Rooster was the heavy. Well, pretty soon we thought we'd better have another heavy, so we had the new little cat. And all the time I was trying to teach this kid that These people, like my characters, were not me at all. They were those people. And when I spoke for them, I saw them in my mind. They didn't look like me. Ben was a big fat man. Or he was a little skinny man. Grandpa was a little shriveled up man. I saw these people. So I had tried to teach this kid. Now, just because you change your voice, you've also got to change your personality. You've got to be a rooster. One minute you're a mouse, the next minute you're a rooster. The next minute you're a mean old cat. You've got to think mean old cat. You've got to think rooster. You've got to think mouse. Oh, he used to hate me. He wouldn't speak to me for days. I'd just let him have it. Say, you're going to do this, you're going to learn how to do this, or get out, one or the other. He calls me up about every 3 or 4 months and says, I love you, Uncle Laurie. I'm glad you made me learn how to do this stuff, because that's what it makes his living as a puppeteer. He's one of the best in the country. Makes all his own puppets.
Television in Dayton. Then I went to Ohio State for a year. I left television, and I really missed it. I tried to get into television up in Columbus, but it was hard to do that. I had good references from the station, and I was going to go back to WHIO after that first year. I missed commercial television. I had done some things in Columbus with WOSU, but they were just sort of, they weren't a daily show or even a weekly show. So I was ready to go back to WHIO, and one of the fellows said, they're looking for a puppeteer down in Cincinnati. And I didn't know anything about Cincinnati, Ohio, so I called up and arranged to go to Cincinnati and meet this person who was head of the art department. Turned out to be Uncle Al Lewis. Uncle Al has done shows. He did shows for 35 years with his wife Wanda, who played Captain Windy. And I went down, and they said, yes, we need a show. And they put me on at 8 to 9, I think it was, before the Uncle Al show. We did an Uncle Al show 9 to 10 and another one 11 to 12. All morning long, they were live television. The networks hadn't put in morning TV yet. So that's how I got started with my own show to raise ratings for the Uncle Al show going in, because they were against a show called Captain Kangaroo. Well, it turned out that my ratings were very good. And I learned how, because of my experience in Dayton, how to ad-lib with the characters and do storylines. And I was building this all up, and I was getting better ratings than Uncle Al. That's amazing. What are you doing? And I got all this mail one time on Valentine's Day. They were all making pictures to send to Rudy and Teaser, and I'd show those on the air. And we had a little calendar that we would say what day it was and what the weather was like. Rudy and Teaser would draw the weather in. So that.
At an industry gathering in the early 70s, Al Lewis had this to say about working with Larry in the late 50s and early 60s.
Those were the days, Larry. Remember, when we were on the network, we're in 167 cities, and we got paid nothing, but we had a lot of fun. And boy, those are good days. But I want to say that in the 24 and a half years we have been on television, probably the longest television show in the world now, one of the true, beautiful talents we worked with and had the honor of working with was Larry Smith. Creatively, nice fella, marvelous to work with, and God love you. I just think it's a privilege for us to be here tonight. Thank you.
It went fine. We did a year on ABC television in 58 or 59 on Saturday mornings at 11 o'clock, 11 to 12, and it went all over the country. And all of a sudden I saw that my puppets were being viewed by puppeteers around the country that I'd met through the Puppeteers of America, which I had gone to my first conference between my junior and senior year up in Bowling Green, Ohio. And I learned how to cast puppets and make them with the plaster casts, and Dorothy Rankin was there and showed us how to do Scholastic. So that was a start on that. George Latshaw was showing how to make the costumes, and I learned how to. The first special was The Littlest Snowman. It was sponsored by the Pogue Company, who was putting all of their Christmas decorations and such around their windows with the Tazewell story of The Littlest Snowman. And through an agency in Cincinnati, I got in touch with the Pogue Company because they wanted to do The Littlest Snowman, first time half-hour special with puppets, the Larry Smith puppets. And my puppets weren't there. This was all created from their window displays. And I had somebody write the script. And that was before videotape. So the audio was done. We had the little snowman's voice sort of uppered, pre-recorded. And we set all the sets around so that the camera could just go from one to the next to the next. This was in black and white. And it all came off. It's the first time I ever missed Thanksgiving at home. It was in the afternoon of that. And of course I did appearances at the Pogue Company also through the years. But that was the first special I did, The Littlest Snowman. A good friend there, Bob Shreve. Seen over in Indianapolis somewhere. He said, Larry, they've got a puppet over there. Said it looks like an inner tube. He says, you know, that it's got all this motion in it. Well, I had gone to the puppeteer festivals and to the workshops and learned how to do Scholastic. I had also seen the movie Lily, which George Latshaw had worked on that. And they were very, very well animated. And I tried to do all these things with springs and the eyebrows, which I still do with basic characters. And this was the way that I knew how to do puppets, but I thought about this. I thought, golly, let me try this out. And so I had some materials, scrap type things that they would sell at a local store here that did costuming, and it was stretch cloth. So I tried to put together this stretch cloth puppet, and it's the one back here now. We'll talk about the Crown Prince a little later on. That was the start of a show eventually after I got back from New York that Tillstrom sort of, in the Broadway show, I took this up there. We would go to Saugatuck, Michigan in the summertime. He'd like to go up there to Summer School of Painting, Oxbow. And I'd gone up there, and that's where he was planning this Broadway show. Don Saleen was rebuilding the Kuklapolitans. They were originally out of cloth. And he was converting them over to Scholastic and putting things together at this we had a big place there. And he says, well, why don't you stay for the week? I was on my way to New York. I just loved to go up to New York and see all the Broadway shows. And so I stayed that week, and I had this with me, the first one. It looked a little different then. But Burr liked this character, and he called it the Prown Prince of Eeny-Meenia. Eeny-Meeny, Eeny-Meeny-Meeny-Meeny. That's where he started this thing. He loved that thing. And I've got a picture of it sitting on the beach over there somewhere. But that was the start of a show when I got back from New York. He was thinking about using this in the Broadway show. And it didn't quite fit in, though. That eventually that became the start of another show I'll talk about later, the Contemporaries, when I got back from New York.
In the fall of 1960, after 3 years at WCPO television, working on The Uncle Al Show, hosting his own programs, producing commercials, and his Littlest Snowman special, Larry received an offer from Burr Tillstrom to come to New York and assist on his Broadway show, Kukla, Burr, and Ollie. Here, Larry discusses first meeting Burr at a Puppeteers of America conference in the mid-50s, leading up to his working on the Broadway show in 1960.
In the Puppeteers of America was at Northwestern out of Chicago area, and I went to that convention. And Tillstrom was there again. And through George Latshaw, I met Burr, and he was going to do an appearance that evening. And he hadn't put it together. He said, Larry, could you help me backstage? I thought, oh my gosh. So we went down to the studio real quick. They were off for the summer at that time. And he got the puppets, and we went up, and we were sitting there in the cafeteria, and he took the sugar off of the table. I said, I need this for a prop, and I need a pitcher, and he did the lemonade, which eventually they did the show. That was part of it in New York, which I'll get to in a little bit. But this was the start of working with Tillstrom. All of a sudden he went, yes, I just follow and grab the puppets and help him get onto them and feed him the props and stuff. And that was the start of working with Burr Tillstrom. Cheryl Crawford sent a telegram, and it went right through the operator of the WCPO, and this is what really confirmed the thing, that Mary Wood put it in her column. Larry Smith has got an offer to go to, well, the station saw me very quickly at that point. By that time, I was ready to go. That I thought this is an opportunity I could not, pass up. So I did go and left the station and went to New York.
You had been at CPO about 3 years at that point?
I guess 57 through 60.
Yeah.
There were the two small stages on either side. We did, Don Saline and I, he was on one side, I was on the other. We did Dragon Prep, which was Ollie's, they were dragons.
Mm-hmm.
And they would sing on either side of the stage for the one number. He was also going to have a Saturday morning show for children. He wanted Don Saline and I to take over that part of it too. Mm-hmm. I'd have to take care of all the puppets and get them out. And with Don Saline, everything had to come out right away, so nobody saw them. Mm-hmm. One woman came backstage one time. She said, "They should never be seen that way." So we would get those out, and then Don would. Celine would blow out the things with a hairdryer and pack them away for the evening after that. Remember one time, this was during dress rehearsals, we went out afterwards, it was in the big hotel there, that they had a green room, it was called, on the second floor, and this is what they converted into a stage area for Tillstrom, for his puppet theater. And he didn't like the seats they got in there the one time. He says, "I'm not doing a show until you get better seats. My people, my fans, myself are not going to sit in those kind of chairs." So they had to bring in all these different nice seats to sit in there. But those are the kind of things that went on building up to the show. And we were, after rehearsal, sitting down in it was 10 o'clock, something like that, on Broadway, right next to the Astor Hotel there where we were appearing. There was, I forget what the store was, or the coffee shop or little restaurant there. And so we were all talking, and we had these in a little leather bag. And I was getting tired because this was a long thing, all day rehearsal. They had me running all over getting props and stuff. And so we went to get out and get in the cab. And said, "Oh my God, I left the bag there with all the Kuklapolitans and of all the things." I ran back in, and those are some of the crazy things that went on.
How'd Burr react to that?
Oh, I don't know. I got it very quickly. But I remember also one other time that he always liked to have a Coke or something to sip, and there was a little coffee bar right in the Astor Hotel on the first floor. And I guess this was during the pre-shows. And he says, "Where's Larry? My God, where's Larry?" I'd gone down to get him a Coke. "Don't ever do that again." He got so many telegrams. The whole wall, like this room, was filled with people when the show opened. It was amazing. I have many remembrances of the opening of Burr's Broadway show, Kukla, Burr and Ollie, it was called, because Fran Allison was not doing her part in there. She was having corrective surgery from an automobile accident she had had, and so we got Claiborne Carey was her name, from New York, to do Fran's part. And at the opening, Fran Allison was there, and also a lot of stars that they came back after the show was over backstage to talk to Burr and say, congratulations and great things. And I remember the first one back was none other than Tallulah Bankhead. She had a fur coat clear to her ankles, and she rushed in backstage, and she always kissed Burr's hand. She said, "I kiss your hands, I kiss your hands." And she looked at Claiborne Carey, and Fran had also kind of snuck back in and sort of was off to the side. And she said to Burr, she said, "Oh, you were so wonderful, Burr, and Claiborne, you were 10 times greater than Franny ever was. Oh, hello, Fran." It was one of those things, everybody just joked.
In April 1974, at the Great Lakes Regional Puppetry Festival, hosted by the Cincinnati Area Puppetry Guild, a surprise tribute was given to Larry for having founded the Guild. Unable to attend, Burr sent a tape from Kukla and Ollie reminiscing about their Broadway show.
You know, Larry and you and I are friends from the early days of the puppet festivals, and when we used to remember when he came to New York and he worked with us in our show there at the Astor Hotel. Oh, yes, I remember. Oh, and the fun we used to have. I remember. The only trouble with Larry is he just, it was difficult after the show. He never knew what he wanted to do. Well, that's true. Don't you think that maybe he just, well, the thing was, Kukla, he wanted to go out with the young folks, and you and I were just a little bit too set in our ways.
The reviews were great for Burr's show, and the first couple of weeks went very well, and then it started to slow off as far as the audience. And it was expensive at the Astor Hotel. They said later that maybe if Burr said if they'd have done it in the Village, where it would have been a cheaper rent, they could have probably gone longer. But with the expense of it all, that they had to close the show early. And so that was kind of a shock. I thought I was stuck in New York for a long time. That I remember calling back the day after the show opened, that the station that did a morning show then, and they called me, and I had to call them and tell them how it went. And I was kind of sad. I said, well, I guess I won't see you all for a while. But the show did close, and I went back to Dayton, I think on Thanksgiving, actually. When I got back home to Dayton, it was a good time to go through all of my stuff. I'd moved everything back to Dayton from Cincinnati when I left for New York. And the puppets really needed to be repaired. It takes a lot of time to do the television live. So I not only rebuilt these characters, but I also started on the Contemporary, which had not come to that name yet. The sock puppets, or whatever you wanted to call them, soft fabric, whatever. And I started rebuilding those also and creating them. That the Crown Prince needed some more people to work with, and I did John and Marcia. I had those two characters. He was the yellow man, and she was kind of with the long white hair.
John? Marcia. John. Marcia. John. Marcia.
So anyway, these numbers started to put together, and I found a coffee house up in Dayton. It was right next to in the same block as their art theater, where they showed a lot of films, art films, and so that was a good clientele. They would come to the coffee house afterwards. And so I started doing these little shows there with a friend of mine that she had worked with me in high school on some of the puppet things I had done. And that kind of got the Contemporary puppets started. So that I got everything rebuilt, and I'd come to Cincinnati a couple times to do shows with Pogues, I think it was, for the springtime or fall. And some way I connected into Channel 12. Another station here in town, WKRC, and late summer I started a show 8 to 9:30, which of course was right against Uncle Al and Captain Kangaroo again. They had switched the networks when I was gone from New York and back to Dayton, and lo and behold, the ratings started to come in again, and it was not only beating Captain Kangaroo, but it was again beating Uncle Al. We had done this once before, and so I got a call one morning. I was sitting there, and says, "Hi, this is Mort Waters," who was, of course, the head person at WCPO, and said, "Larry, we got some program changes, and thought maybe you'd be interested in them." And I'd met Joe. So that's how I ended up back that January. That was their Christmas present to Cincinnati. I appeared on the Uncle Al show, and they welcomed me back and all this. And I started the afternoon show, 5 to 5:45. And at that time, I started redoing some of the numbers of the cloth puppets to pantomimes. And at that time, Bob Gordon had become the program director, and he saw the people in the lobby that worked there were looking up at some of these vignettes I was doing with the puppets pantomiming to records, and they were laughing and getting a kick out of it. And he says, well, why don't we do a complete show? Videotape had come in by them. It was on big 2-inch reels, and you couldn't electronically splice. They had to hand splice everything. So we put this first show together. Introduction by the puppet Larry Smith. I had a ventriloquist puppet, and he would introduce the various numbers. And the one fellow that wrote the introductions was Dave Stanley Stahlbach. He played the piano there and also wrote all the commercials. Well, he wrote all of the intros to the Contemporaries. And that's how the Contemporaries got started. We did over 30 half hours of that show. And of course it was black and white, but it also ran on our sister station down in Florida, WPTV. So that was the start of the Contemporaries. And Dave Stanley named them the Contemporaries, which is how they got their name.
Thank you, and welcome to you friends of the Contemporaries.
Down to sport, tie-me kangaroo down. Tie-me kangaroo down, sport, tie-me kangaroo down.
Once and the bass drum goes.
Saw this huge hand arc through the air and capture Fly Smith to destroy him. Ant Smith stopped in his tracks, chuckled quietly to himself. How was he to know that that hand's foot would step on him? And how was Mr. Smith to know that he had just killed 2 Smiths? Ant, Fly, Smith.
I can take my coffee break, my coffee break, my coffee break. If I can take my coffee break, something within me dies. Lie down and something within me dies. It's the company way. Wherever the company puts me, there I stay.
But what is your point of view?
I have no point of view.
Supposing the company thinks that...
I think so too.
Now, what would...
Big Bad John. Big John. And with all of his strength, he gave a mighty shove. Then a miner yelled out, "There's a light up above," and 20 men scrambled from a would-be grave. Now there's only one left down there to save Big John. With Jackson timbers, they started back down. Then came that rumble way down in the ground. And smoke and gas belched out of that mine. Everybody knew it was the end of the line for Big John. Big John. Big John. Big Bad John.
Hooray, hooray, I'm going away, and I'll bet you're wondering where. Well, I just heard from Napoleon B. He wants to have a little talk with me.
This is Larry Smith on behalf of all the puppets saying so long till next week.
Yo. They put me on a Saturday morning show, which was crazy, but it was sponsored by McDonald's. That was very good. And I had guests, audience and everything on that. Was a different thing. Then they took a hiatus for the summer, and I went with the UC drama department down to Palm Beach, Florida, Daytona Beach, Florida, to do Broadway shows. We did 5 musicals in 8 and 10 weeks' time, and I did the Saturday, Sunday shows for the children with the puppets. So that got me out of there for the summer, and in the fall they did not pick up the afternoon children's shows at WCPO, so I had time to rebuild stuff. We came to Hansel and Gretel, which was done for the symphony, for their kinder concert. And it was a large stage, and they were sort of rod type puppets. I've got one downstairs of Hattie that her eyes lit up, and I still remember that. E-I-E-I, my little darling, come visit with me, come stay in my little gingerbread house. That was quite a time that we had. We also took that show eventually to a National Puppeteer Festival up in Detroit, Michigan. So that was my Hansel and Gretel. After getting back from Florida that summer, I had a call from WLW show. I had done 2 specials for Halloween on the Hayride show, which was quite big on the weekends. And so they had seen what I did with puppets, and so they thought, well, getting the puppets in on this afternoon show, Jamboree with Wes Holly, that this would maybe bring in the kids element, so they get some more ratings, good old ratings. So they came up with a character, the old man, that would come in. He was one of the Contemporaries. And they would do jokes. They would write jokes for me to do. And I brought Hattie the Witch in for some of those, too. And then finally we were doing pantomimes. They had really a nice set department down there. So we would do the back sets for the various, I remember the girl from Wilburton Mountain, I pantomimed that with the Contemporaries. So that went for a while.
In February 1966, Larry signed on with the country's very first educational television station, WCET TV 48. Larry and the Puppets starred in their own series titled The Magic Forest. The series ran for 2 seasons as a 15-minute, 5-day-a-week, late-afternoon program. 200 original episodes were produced, all written by partner Don Glanzer, with an original music score by John Iden. A forerunner to Sesame Street, The Magic Forest would air not just in Cincinnati, but in various other markets over the NET television network. An early storyline in the series involved Rudy and Teaser starting a friendship club, where viewers were encouraged to write in to become card-holding members. Not to be outdone, Hattie started her own, more mischievous alliance called her Fiendship Club, which appeared on the reverse side of the card. Over 2,000 area youngsters joined after its first announcement. For Hattie's birthday that year, which just happens to fall on Halloween, WCET decided to throw a surprise birthday celebration in her honor. Ticket demand was so great that what was originally planned as one party became 4 separate parties. All were videotaped over one Saturday and edited into a primetime special which aired the following week. After 2 successful seasons, Larry left WCET and would help launch a brand new television station in Cincinnati. And it is here that Larry would realize his wildest success.
Fun for the children, fun for the kids, with Larry Smith and Puppets, lots of fun for the kids.
On August 1st, 1968, independent television station WXIX TV 19 officially went on the air. Their first broadcast was Larry Smith and His Puppets, a 5-day-a-week, 2-hour-per-day program that within 6 months would become the greater Cincinnati area's #1 show in its time period. Reaching over 100,000 viewers per day, the program outdrew all other local and national talk and movie programs. During its phenomenal 6-year run, International stars of the day would all make appearances with Larry and the Puppets whenever they came through the Midwest. Prime-time syndicated television specials would air, and Larry and his cast of television puppets, Hattie the Witch, Snarfy our dog, Teaser the mouse, Rudy the rooster, and Nasty Old Thing, along with all new specially built characters, were in constant demand as both local and national commercial spokespersons. Record sellouts at amusement parks, theaters, and other regional events would occur the moment their appearances were announced. This beloved program would cement Larry's reputation as Cincinnati's premier puppeteer.
Fun for the children, fun for the kids, with Larry Smith and puppets, lots of fun for the kids.
Oh, we're all friends together. It's all right.
Mana mana. Mana mana.
Yes, I'm coming in for a landing. Well, hello there, Pete.
Oh.
How are you? This is the one and only Batty Hattie from Cincinnati.
Baby, baby, you know it's true. I'm a puppet just for you. I'll do anything you say. I won't have it any other way. Take my heart and take my soul, giving you complete control. If you want to see me do my thing, pull my string, pull my string. Puppet man,
Take away the trees and the birds all have to sit upon the ground. And take away their wings and the birds all have to walk to get around. And take away the bird baths and dirty birds will soon be everywhere. Take away their feathers and the birds will walk around in underwear.
indigestion, it is a indigestion. It just my poor old brain, it feels so queer. Since you are near, dear, ever since you told me that you love me, I'm a nut, I'm a nut. Ever since you said those words, sweetheart, I'm a bug, I'm a bug. Can't sleep nights, can't even eat. Something's wrong with both my feet. I bump into people on the street like a fool, like a fool.
Trouble never hangs around when he hears this mighty sound. Here I come to save the day. That means that Alfredo is on the way. Yes, sir, when there is a wrong to right, Alfredo will join the fun.
A monkey, the pride of the zoo. Step right up into the old animal show starring Mickey the Monkey. I'm Mickey the monkey, the pride of the zoo. I make people happy with tricks that I do. I swim through the air with the greatest of ease, just like the man on the flying.
Miss Rudy? Hey, I sure do. My Thanksgiving pageant. I'm Miles Standish, and Hattie and Miss Abigail both showed up as Priscilla. Oh, that does bring back old memories. Come on, Teaser, let's see another one. Oh, look, it's Snarfy, our dog, as Chief Massasoit. Oh, no.
Hello, Rose in Texas, that I am gonna say. Nobody else could miss her, not half as much as me. She cried so when I left, pardon me.
When Channel 19 became #1 in the area, we had all kinds of people requesting to come on the air. And I'll never forget, we were still at downtown studio, and Tiny Tim had just become the big sensation that he was. And he was going to make an appearance. Snarfy, our dog over here, he would always dress up like Tiny Tim. And that would just make Hattie the Witch so upset. So, lo and behold, Tiny Tim wanted to make an appearance on the show, and I thought, oh my gosh. So they were doing all the various different shows in the town at that time, and he was on all the different shows, and we were on late afternoon, 2 hours, with the children's kids show elements, with the cartoons and such hosting. And I said, let me know when he gets to the studio. And of course the limousine pulled up, and the gal at the front desk right away sent back to the director, he's here. So I'll never forget, I went up this kind of runway to get to the first floor. We were down in the basement and first floor with our studios, and here he came, Tiny Tim. I said, welcome to this, you know. And so he got onto the set. They said, now he won't sing a song, he'll just talk. So Hattie was not informed of this. She didn't know what was going on. This was a surprise from Snarfy, our dog. And all of a sudden she comes up, and there's Tiny Tim standing there. Well, you never really saw Tiny Tim's face. He talked to Hattie the Witch. Their noses matched. And he finally did get out of this little paper bag his ukulele or guitar, ukulele, and sang a song to Hattie the Witch. That was one of our big times on there that Tiny Tim was on. Also, we had Bobby Sherman. He came in on the show, and we even made 16 magazine. Here we are. This blew my mind. The Larry Smith Puppet Pals, and there's Bobby Sherman on the show. Jack Wilde was on the show when he was promoting his movie. Some of the other people that appeared on the show were a lot of the Reds. Johnny Bench was on one time. Also Pete Rose was there. And Snarfy, our dog, had the biggest card collection of the cards, the baseball cards. Dumb me. I threw those away. I had them all over the place. Kids would send in to Snarfy, and I even stapled them, which was a bad thing to do, too. But those have been worth plenty of money this day and age that I have known and taken care of those. Those were some of the guests that we also had on the show. We also did a special. I did this downtown one Halloween, and it wasn't as good. We didn't have the facilities down there. When we moved out to the big studios out in Woodlawn, we did a second one, Once Upon a Broomstick. It was Hattie. They give her a big birthday party, but she has all these notes. She keeps trying to find out where all the parties are going and where everybody is. She goes to the clubhouse, to the hollow tree of Mr. Wizard. Finally, they end up at the castle of Hattie the Witch and wish her a happy birthday. So that was done for a special that also ran in our other sister stations of Atlanta, Pittsburgh, San Francisco, and of course Cincinnati. So it got out to all of our stations. That was fun.
This is the most unusual story.
Oh, there's nothing like causing a little trouble on Halloween to make an old girl like me happy.
The animals of the Magic Forest plot a surprise birthday party for Hattie the Witch, Friday, October 30th at 7:30 on TV 19.
Oh, said two little ghosts to another little ghost, come on and join the fun. We'll boo at everyone, 'cause Halloween's begun. The happy ghost, life can be a sweet thing if you will. Have a happy ghost, life can be a sweet thing for you still. Funky Pumpkin's a happy pumpkin, and do you know why? 'Cause he's a jack-o'-lantern instead of being a pumpkin pie.
with me to Transylvania. You'll like it there. You'll look grand in Transylvania, cobwebs in your hair.
Will I do, Hattie?
Happy riddle-dee-dee on your birthday, Hattie.
Have a spooky good time tonight, Hattie.
Lots of birthday greetings in order to a happy Halloween witch.
Best witches on your birthday, Hattie.
Happy Halloween, Hattie.
Oh, happy birthday to our Queen of Halloween.
Happy holiday on Halloween, Hattie. Trick or treat to my Aunt Hattie, who's really making super cool and groovy.
The bag of surprises on your birthday, Hattie.
Happy birthday, you old witch! Oh, all of this for me? And after all the trouble I've caused everyone? Oh, you've made me so happy, I could cry. Well, happy Halloween! Happy, happy Halloween!
Another production that we did at Channel 19 on 1973 was Granny Snowflake's Christmas Surprise. This was a special, and it was done in conjunction with Mabley and Carew.
Mabley and Carew is pleased to present a family holiday special, Granny Snowflake's Christmas Surprise. In just a moment, our story.
Oh, this is beautiful! Absolutely beautiful! Granny Snow Shovel has turned away those pesky little animals from Happy Hollow. I wonder what they'll think of her now. Probably not very much. And Snarfy gets to give them the bad news. Well, that's what he gets for disobeying my orders. Oh, she's just solved my problem. Now I won't have to come up with a wicked plan to keep her from giving gifts to the poor families on Christmas Day. I bet they'll think of me with kinder thoughts next Halloween.
What is it, Snarpy? What does it say?
Tell us, Snarpy, tell us.
Well, it seems that Santa's helpers became super helpful and made too many gifts this year, and Santa wants to know if Granny Snowflake can handle the extras. I guess he did get my letter.
Oh, that is good news. Of course you.
But wait a minute, there's something else.
Here comes the bad news.
Since he'll be taking off in his sleigh tonight, there won't be time for him to deliver the extra gifts to Granny. But he says that one of his old sleighs is available.
Working perfectly so far. They're going to fall right into my trap. Little do they know that I want them to get to the North Pole. If I stop them now, they won't have the gifts that I want. I'll just stay right here and wait for them to come back with Santa's old sleigh loaded with presents. Then I'll be the one pulling the sleigh, not to old Granny Snowboot's house, but to my castle.
I just heard Hattie screech. She must have discovered our trick. Mush! Mush!
Bark, bark, mush!
That's Eskimo for let's get out of here fast!
Because of your love and kindness and your concern for others, because of your unselfish deeds, these magic Christmas snowflakes are in the pockets to sprinkle as you please.
Oh my gosh! Throw the magic snowflakes!
Oh, Granny Snowflake, why, you look wonderful. I can see why everybody in the Magic Forest loves you so. Oh, Snarfy, I think Santa's magic snowflakes are working.
I think so too, Granny. What a change! What a welcome change!
No, you're so kind and I want to help. Would you let me deliver some of the gifts? After all, I do know where everybody lives, and I can do it in record-breaking time. Oh, Hattie the Witch, I would be delighted to have you help deliver the gifts if you promise me one thing. Sure, Granny, anything at all. If you take off your skis before you leave, sure. And with Santa's magic snowflakes and a surprise in every pocket, I can bring joy to many, many boys and girls this season. Merry Christmas, Snarfy.
Oh, Merry Christmas to you, Granny Snowflake.
And to you, boys and girls, the happiest of all holidays.
So we did our specials. Finally, WXIX canceled their afternoon kids shows also due to the this Women's Guild or whatever it was, Child something television, came along saying that kid hosts could no longer do their own commercial because you're influencing the children to go out and buy products. Well, that knocked all the kids shows off the country. That with the Jerry Lewis telethons for Carnivals for Muscular Dystrophy, I was part of that, and we would go to meetings like in we were in Florida one time, out in Las Vegas another time. We'd do these in February and get together and also make little promos with Jerry Lewis to promote the Carnivals for Muscular Dystrophy. Well, that was the first year. There were a lot of them there. The next year there were fewer. You could see that this was all taking hold. And that's what happened to the kid hosts, a lot of them around the country, because the budgets were no longer there. The sponsorship was gone, and they were commercial television. They couldn't take this on at a loss. So that's what happened to the Channel 19 days.
Following his 6-year run on WXIX television, Larry was in constant demand for personal appearances. For 2 seasons, he designed large-scale industrial programs for the Ohio State Fair, sponsored by the Cincinnati Gas and Electric Company and the 8 other electric companies throughout Ohio. One of these productions was The Ant and the Grasshopper, educating audiences on how to prepare for winter and insulate their home. He would also appear through the holidays at Buster T. Brown's.
You heard about the place called Buster T. Brown's? It's the neatest place to eat in town.
Hi, I'm Larry Smith, and we'll be at Buster's all through the holidays having lots of fun.
To see us, just bring a new or usable toy or 50 cents. The toy goes for Toys for Tots, and the 50 cents goes to the neediest kids of all. And if you're under 12, you get a coupon for a free SpaghettiOs dinner.
Down on the riverfront at Buster T. Brown's.
Call 381-1400 for showtimes.
And he also produced television projects for the Hamilton County SPCA.
Give us love and keep us neat. Care for all animals, your turtle, hamster, guinea pig, however small, however big, all animals.
Short
and tall animals.
Even me?
You, even you.
Aw, shucks.
He also made regular guest appearances on area television shows. These included his annual Halloween pilgrimages to Bob Shreve's Past Prime Playhouse to celebrate Hattie the Witch's birthdays.
The Monster Mash, from my laboratory in the castle east to the master bedroom where the vampires feast. The ghouls all came from their...
Along with Christmas time appearances on the Ira Joe Fisher Show.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good tidings with you wherever you are.
Oh, I don't know the words either.
For Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Everybody!
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas, everybody! All right.
And as he has done throughout his career, in between projects, Smith would remain actively engaged, producing both local and national television commercials.
At Fifth Third Bank, we promise not to growl at you.
Meow. It's time for Riverfest 88. Why not celebrate it Northern Kentucky style? Whee!
Join me, Larry Smith, with my friends Hattie and Snarfy in Newport.
We'd like to invite you to visit us at the 27th Annual Cavalcade of Customs.
And we'll be there, too, with puppet shows and costume characters. Watch for the red tag specials.
It's the Fun Blaze!
Have a very Merry Christmas from Johnny's Toys.
You'll enjoy the fixins from Long John Silver's galley.
It's a Merry, Merry Christmas benefiting Children's Hospital with love from Kenwood Mall.
I'm not mad because you don't like my Kern's bread. Have a cigar.
Thanks.
See, I don't hold a grudge.
Of the Mouse, and this is my friend, Rudy the Rooster. Oh, it's time for us to tell the boys and girls all about Little Debbie's.
These are our favorites. We always have them at our clubhouse. They're oatmeal cream pies.
And they're delicious for snack time or right with lunch.
In the fall of 1985, Larry was hired by a new Cincinnati independent television station, WIII TV 64, to produce a series of wraparounds using his famous puppet characters to help launch their children's block of programming.
And I would like to take this time to invite you to join our family in watching 8 is Enough, weeknights at 6 on the Eyes of Cincinnati, WIII TV 64.
Well, Hawk on the Eyes of Cincinnati TV 64 at 5 o'clock is like one mean green dude. If he can pick up boulders, I can pick up this barbell. Well, we all can't have super strength, but then again, none of you guys can be naturally green either. I think you stayed up too late last night, Hattie. But don't I look a lot like Elvira, Mistress of the Dark? No, you look like you belong in the dark. Well, what has she got that I haven't got? Well, for one thing, she's got her own show called Movie Macabre every Saturday night at 9 on Channel 64. Well, I'm Batty Hattie from Cincinnati. You're Batty, all right, trying to look like Elvira. Get out of here.
1987, to celebrate their 19th anniversary, WXIX TV 19 invited Larry back for a primetime special entitled Hattie's Thanksgiving Reunion.
Hi, Larry Smith. What's going on?
Hi, Dickie. I'm putting the final touches on one of the sets to Hattie's Thanksgiving Reunion.
They look really good, Larry, but where do you start on something like this?
Well, Jason, this one started out as a miniature. Then a rendering or drawing was done. Later, the plans were scaled up, and the sets were constructed in a workshop, and here we are in the Magic Forest.
We'll be watching Monday night, Larry.
Right. Hattie's Thanksgiving Reunion at 7:30 here on 19th XIX.
Don't miss it.
Boys and girls, and moms and dads, and grandparents, welcome to 19XIX's reunion of the Larry Smith Puppets, here at the Grand Ballroom in the castle of Hattie the Witch, better known as Batty Hattie from Cincinnati.
Snarfy, get on with it.
Okay, Miss Hattie the Witch.
Thank you very much, Snarfy, and Mr. Music, please. I'm happy to be here. It's been a while since since I performed for you, dear. I'm as nasty as I've always been, 'cause everything old is new again. I'm Hattie, still batty. The folks remember me in Cincinnati. I'm as wicked as I was back then, 'cause everything old is new again. Got out my black cape, my boots, and my broom. Let's get down and liven up this tune. Come join the lady you thought was long gone. She is back, still going strong. Don't throw the past away. You might need it some rainy day. Dreams can come true again when everything old is new again. Got out my black cape, my boots, and my broom. Let's get down and liven up this tune. Come join the lady you thought was long gone. She is back, still going strong. Don't throw the past away. You might need it some rainy day. Dreams can come true again when everything old is new again. I said when everything old is new again. Thank you.
My puppet pals, especially Snarfy our dog, and of course, Hattie the Witch, it's time for us to say goodbye for now. I'm Larry Smith and hope to see you again real soon.
As the 1990s rolled around, Larry showed no signs of slowing down. In the fall of '91, he joined Northern Kentucky's Storer Cable Company to produce a season of The Magic Forest. 65 30-minute episodes aired for the season's run.
1991 and 1992, I was contacted by Storer Cable, which is the channel and cable system over in Kentucky right across the river, to do The Magic Forest, which we did for 65 continuous sessions that ran, and also ran on the weekends over there. It was a lot of fun doing this. We got a lot of people into the project, and our own music again for the special music for all the intros and things, and it went very well.
Hi, I'm Larry Smith. All of my puppet friends and I are delighted to be part of Storer Cable Television as we bring you all new episodes of The Magic Forest. Each day, Northern Kentucky viewers will be treated to not only fun-filled adventures in the Magic Forest, but also games, contests, and special guests, plus news and information designed especially for kids. The Magic Forest will feature all my favorite puppet pals, including Rudy and Teaser and Snarfy our dog, and of course, Hattie the Witch.
So join the Switch to the Witch with the Larry Smith Puppets and Storer Cable, your community connection! Whee!
Following the success of the Storer Cable series, Larry was hired the following year by WGRR Oldies 103 Radio for a weekly 30-minute Sunday morning program called The Great Kids Show. Like the Storer Cable series, this family show was written by Don Glanzer and highlighted such topics as safety, crime prevention, and drug abuse resistance education, as well as the usual antics of Hattie the Witch and the other puppets.
After we had done the shows over on cable television, the Magic Forest, I got a call from the man who was in charge of WGRR, the radio channel here in Cincinnati, Oldies. They play all the old tunes, and he thought maybe we could do a kids show. And what happened, we would tape this during the week. We would have a kid host that would call in and audition as the guest announcer. Then we would do the show, and it would come back on Sunday mornings, and it had all the music tunes and things in it. It was called The Great Kids Show with the Larry Smith Puppets. We had a lot of fun with this. And somebody said, puppets on radio? And I said, well, that's how Edgar Bergen started with Charlie McCarthy. So those were the episodes that we did on WGRR, Oldies 103.5. There's been many satisfactions as you go along the tree of life, so to speak, and the different techniques. Television, of course, was my baby, which I started out with almost, and to watch it develop. And I enjoy doing the outside shows, which we do a lot of, but it wasn't that connection, that it takes so much stuff to move, and I still carry too much stuff. At a television station, you've got your sets all there and your crew. You just have to go in and make sure you get into the right puppets. Speaking of that, one time I was doing that. I always watch a monitor to see what's going out over the air, and we're using a scrim, which I learned from Tillstrom, to stand behind so they can't see you. And Hattie was doing something, was on Channel 19, and she was talking about something, and she was talking, and the next character was coming in and came in and said hello to Hattie, and it was the wrong voice. The crew laughed first, and then Hattie looked around and she said, I didn't know you could talk like Spooky the Ghost. Well, I'm mean old cat, but of course I can talk like Spooky the Ghost. And finally, it all turned out that they all could talk like each other. That was the way that we got out of that one. See here, Hattie actually started when we had to tie this down when we got to WCET with the Magic Forest, that how all these evolved. And Hattie came from the land behind the moon, and she was flying one time and hit a terrible rainstorm, and she crash landed into the Magic Forest.
Birthday present to me. What a frightfully delightful way to start my 201st. Oops. I better not mention my age. Somebody might be listening. Oh, I've already caused a small tornado. Now let me see. What else could I do in the evil department? What could I stir up? Oops. Dear, maybe I got carried away with myself. Maybe I overcast the storm a bit. I didn't even have time to get a reading on my witch watch. Maybe I'd better head the broomstick in reverse and head for my home, the land behind the moon. Come on, Black Beauty. Hi-ho, and away we go! My dear, you sure have caused a bomb. Well, there must be some potent magic around these parts to cause me this misfortune.
Mr. Wizard already lived there in his hollow tree with his magic and wizardry, and they fought back and forth. But the wizard could take care of the friendly little animals, and Hattie was trying to take over all the time, so that's kind of how the plot started. I keep too many things, which means I have to do them again if I find it all the costumes that I've made for the puppets, for the various different storylines we were doing, and the characters also are downstairs in the workshop. And they're all there. The Contemporaries was a different look at puppetry. I loved the marionettes. That was my first love. The most fun thing is when people come up to me and say, aren't you Larry Smith?
And my hair's starting to get gray now. I'm starting to look like Hattie the Witch, as I tell them. There's the poster up there that was done in the early 60s that I mentioned Bob Girding at WCET. He took that picture, and it was when I was signing the contract for Channel 19 and couldn't tell him why I was having this picture taken. It was sent out on postcards. And a lot of people held on to those postcards. I keep saying, I don't know who the guy with the dark hair in the middle is, but they say you're Larry Smith, and you brought so many happy memories to us as we grew up. And they loved seeing the puppets. This is the adults that are now coming and reliving their childhood, bringing their kids to the shows I do outside, whether it's with people like Johnny's Toys that I've done shows many through the years with, over 30 years or something like that now. We do guest appearances, those type of things. The people always come up and want to autograph, and Wayne Martin, who's producing this today, he had that reprinted for me with my new telephone number and address on it so people can get in touch with us. But they like to see that original picture that they remember and the times that I've brought to them. That really makes it live on. That thanks to television, that's the media that I really grew up in and have enjoyed through the years. And it's still nice to be on in times and to do specials and things. And recently that I was doing a show and they said, "Oh," I said, "we thought you were dead."
Hardly dead. Still in high demand for personal appearances, his act of magic, trick marionettes, and favorite television puppet characters are still regular attractions throughout the Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky region. And in the fall of 2001, at the age of 63, Larry introduced Hattie and the Gang to an all-new generation of the Sticky Finger set, with a new series on Cincinnati's WBQC TV UPN 25. As long as Larry Smith is around, it will always be fun for the kids.
Fun for the children, fun for the kids. With Larry Smith and puppets, lots of fun for the kids.